that all workers are exploited are a myth. So, or let me specify that based on some calculation somewhere in a far off land, that by default all workers are exploited. That statement is a myth. So go ahead and say why it isn't, and I'll ask some questions, and we'll see where we go.
Yeah, so I guess I'd like to find out what you mean by exploited, because there's a lot of different like definitions you could use. Like,
Well, so I'm gonna assume like the thing, sort of. I can't relate per se myself, but this the saying that an employer makes money off their employers, therefore they're exploited.
okay, yeah, so you just gave the example of someone making money off another person's efforts. Like, what? Why would you not say that is exploitment?
Well, because I don't really see it that way. There is an exchange between two people. One is offering, the labor or service, and the other is paying for that fairly, and they agree to it. And then from that labor or service, that person gets some benefit. Obviously, he gets some benefit. The employee gets some benefit, and everyone walks away happy. So I don't consider that exploited.
Yeah, so I would say whether or not you agree to it or not doesn't change whether or not it's exploiting. At the end of the day, the boss is still getting some sort of a reward based on your effort.
Okay, and the boss is
So,
paying you some sort of reward based on your effort as well.
yeah, but that is not equal to the work that you put in.
Well, can you
So
explain the equal part?
well, that's basically how businesses work. If they like hired someone and it didn't get them any profit to hire that person, then they wouldn't hire that person.
Right, but it's also the way that employees work. If they didn't get a profit to themselves of working for someone, then they wouldn't be working for someone.
Yeah, they get a profit, but they don't get a profit equal to the work that they put in. So the boss would end up getting a profit based on your work.
So you're saying the boss of the employer isn't paying for the full value
Yes.
of the labor. Okay, so let's take it a step further down the line, and let's say the employee made, or the employee or other employees plus some machines made a product. The product was put on a shelf in some shop, and the price for the product was 50. Let's say it was a mobile phone, for argument's sake. Let's say it was actually not 50. Let's say it was 400. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you bought this phone for 400 US, sorry, not US, Australian dollars. Yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
But the value of the phone to you is $2,000. $2,000. You use the phone every day. It's a really important part of your life. You call people in emergency. You play games on it. So the numerical value to you is 2,000, but you only paid 400. So why are you exploiting the company?
This is a completely different kind of topic.
No, it's exactly the same, because, and I'll explain why. You're saying that the boss doesn't pay full value for the worker, and I'm saying you're not paying full value for the products of the company for that the bosses sell. So
Okay,
basically, well,
okay, I
I'm just
understand what you mean. Yeah.
so I'll just
So
give
the
an example of
value.
the phone.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So the value of the phone is like a fixed price. It doesn't go up just because you like it more.
Right, but the value to you, yeah. So the person put a price at the shop, right? And obviously they make a profit. So the 400, for argument's sake, let's say is $200 profit. But to you, this phone is very, very valuable. It's still $400 to buy, but the full value to you is 2,000.
Okay, your feelings about the phone does not change the value of it. So let's move this back to like the work argument. If you
No, I'm
found
sorry.
work
I
incredibly, right? So if you found work incredibly enjoyable, like, and you got like extra value out of work in that scenario, your boss at the end of the day is still getting value off of exploiting your labor. It doesn't matter if you gain extra value from what you're doing.
right, but you're exploiting that boss for low priced smartphones in the same respect.
No, because what? Yeah, no, because the value of it doesn't change based on what your feelings are about it.
Well, how? But it's not your feelings about it. It's how much you use it. So, for example, if a phone was actually priced at 2,000, you would still buy it because it's still worth 2,000. Or even, sorry, let's say you wouldn't buy it, but if it was worth 199, you would.
Okay,
Okay.
so what you're saying is that a phone, if you buy it at $400, has the exact same value as one that you would buy at $2,000.
Yes, it has the value to you for
Yeah, I'm
for
saying it doesn't
$2,000.
matter what you value it as. The value is a fixed price, $400.
The price is a fixed price. The value is not. Is depends on you.
Yeah, so you would move the yeah. So as I said before, you would move this back to the work argument. It doesn't matter if you enjoy work a lot. The boss is still getting some sort
No,
of value out of your labor.
It's not subjective feelings. I'll explain again. It's you would still buy the phone for under $2,000. So even if it was like $1 under 2,000, it's still worthwhile for you to buy the phone because you need it for certain things. It makes your life very convenient. You can work on it. You can call the value to you. You're willing to pay up to 2,000. You won't pay 2,001 because then it's above. Then it doesn't have enough value for you. But you're willing to part with your money for under $2,000. Now, if you're saying that the full value of the phone is 2,000, or I'm saying, sorry, that the full value of the phone is 2,000, but you're only buying it for 400, then you are, by the same mechanism, exploiting the boss.
Okay,
You're
so
not
what do you
paying the
mean?
full price for it.
Okay, so what do you mean by value?
How much you value the phone, how much it contributes to your life, how much it saves you certain things, how much money you're willing to part to buy that phone.
Okay, so is this not just completely irrelevant when talking about workers?
Why?
Because in a worker-boss relationship, you have one
Yeah.
person paying the other to do some work. In this example, you have someone buying a product. It is a one-person scenario, whereas workers are a two-person.
Well, no. If there's someone in the counter selling you the product, then it's a two-person. In the same. Okay, so let's say
No, because they don't get the money from that purchase. They are paid by their employer. They aren't paid from the money that you buy the phone with.
well, they eventually. What do you mean? Of course they eventually do get paid from the money. Sorry, how does the boss pay the employer if someone doesn't buy that phone? How
Yeah,
does the boss
so
pay
when
the employee if someone
so,
doesn't buy the products that they sell?
so if I go to the shop and I buy a phone, I am not giving the cash the clerk there. I am not giving them the money. I'm not giving them their paycheck.
So you and a collection of other people that buy these phones do eventually that money does get to that clerk and the employee. Otherwise, the boss, if you don't purchase the products from the company, the boss won't have the money to pay the employees.
Okay, so your argument here would be like saying that the boss doesn't actually pay the workers, the customers do. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, the money has to come from somewhere. I mean, you could say, right? You could say that the boss found some upfront capital and they absorb a period of time on their own risk before the money from the customers starts coming in. Like they project that if they buy a warehouse, if they buy a factory, then at some point they'll earn that money back. But anyway, at some point in the future, someone has to buy the products or service of that company. Otherwise, they'll go out of business.
Yeah, so you're thinking it's one process. It's actually two. It doesn't go customer to the boss to the worker. It goes customer to the boss. That's it. And then there is a separate thing with the boss to the worker.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what you're making a distinction about, but in general, if
Okay,
people don't buy
so-
stuff from the company can't afford to pay its employees.
Yeah, so when a customer goes and buys something, they aren't giving money to the worker, they're giving it to the business. The business then can decide to hire someone if they want. So it is two separate processes, not one.
Well, I mean, for argument's sake, I'll agree, but where is it going?
That's just my point. Like, you aren't exploiting the person on the cash register by not paying the full value of the phone.
Right, you're exploiting. I'm not using the word exploiting. I'm not serious about it when I use it, but in your example, you're exploiting the company because they're selling a phone that you're happy to pay for $2,000, but you're not paying. They're selling for 400, and you're giving them
Yeah,
400, and
yeah.
you're
If you,
receiving
if,
$2,000 worth of value, and you're exploiting them.
yeah, you would be exploiting it. Yes. All right,
Okay,
I'll give you
so
another example. If you go to a garage sale and there's something they're selling for $5, but you could clearly pick that up, go and sell it elsewhere for $10, you would be exploiting the person at the garage sale.
So can you maybe? So what you're saying is exploiting is you're not getting the full value for what you should be getting. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
And how do you know that? How do you know that the business, in the case of the employee, how do you know that they are exploiting them because they're making any profit whatsoever means they're exploiting them?
So if they're making a profit off of someone working, then that must mean that what they're paying the paying the employee is less than the value they're getting out.
So if the employee, let's say employee himself, had the choice of either working for a company that paid them less for their time, but this company is paying them more, meaning, or let's say they were working for a company, they improved their skill sets, but the company was paying them, let's say, 1,300 of something, and then this phone company is paying them 1,800 of something, and they're like, oh, this is 500 more, I want to work here. And I agree to work here, and I signed. Does that matter that the company is paying more, or is it completely irrelevant?
It's irrelevant because we're not talking about the overall price. We're talking about the value put into a company and the value that you get out of it. The value that you get out of that company is less than the value that you put in.
Okay, so but if the company won't, let's look at it differently, right? Let's go back to our previous shoe factory example. If I make shoes and people buy my shoes, and I don't keep track, I kind of do keep track of how many people buy my shoes, but it's a lot of work. And then I say, well, I need some help, and I'm willing to pay someone. I am earning a profit now, and then I say I need some help. I want to hire someone else, and I do hire someone else for a certain amount of money. I'm still making a profit, and I'm happy to share my profits with this person who's helping me. Sorry, when I say share, I'll specify. I'm giving them a fixed salary. I'm not giving them a share of the profit, but I am willing to give them a fixed salary, and I'm still earning a profit, and we're able to produce more shoes. Am I exploiting them?
Yeah, so the value that you get out of that worker that you just hired is more than the amount of money that you're giving them.
But
So it would be exploitation.
I made a profit before, and I'm still making profit after.
So it doesn't matter what your profits are, it matters the value process. So if you get more value from your worker than you are giving your worker, then you are exploiting them. You're not paying them for some of that labor.
Right, but we kind of agreed that the word exploiting is superfluous because everyone's exploiting everyone under your system. Like
No,
consumers are exploiting companies. Companies are
consumers can
exploiting. Sorry,
consumers can exploit companies. Yes. Do you disagree with that?
consumers. The fact of the matter, yeah, but almost any purchase you buy, if it has even a little bit more value than the price you're paying, you're technically exploiting. So consumers are exploiting companies are exploiting employees, and to some degree, I can make a scenario employees are exploiting employers. So I can say, for example, our firemen or firefighters exploiting their employees. They're not working all the time, and you don't want them to work all the time because you don't want there to be that many files. You just want them to be ready and available in case there is one, but you don't want them to work all the time because that could mean there's fires across the whole city. So our firefighters exploiting their employers.
There may be some jobs where yes, someone gets more value than the amount of labor that they put in.
Well, then I
But
contend that
the only place that would work is in like government funded areas because any company would go bankrupt if they did that.
well, I mean, even if so take the example of firefighters. I don't want them to work all the time because that means there'll be fires everywhere. But I do want there to be firefighters in case there is one. I can say the same for support, or the same for like, having people like on hand in case something breaks. All these kinds of scenario. They're not working all the time, and in fact, they could be exploiting their employers. But I do want, or as an employer, I would want them to be there in case something breaks because breaking is a very expensive process. Whatever I'm trying to prevent from breaking.
Yeah, so as I said, there may be some examples of jobs where you get more value out than the labor that you put in.
Okay, so
But on the like vast majority, like 99% of cases, you're always going to be putting in more effort than the value that you get out. Because
well,
otherwise the
I
business
don't
wouldn't
think you can
hire
make
you.
that. I don't think you can make that statement at all because I don't even know. Can you calculate how much exploitation is being carried out, like from a scale of 1 to 10, how much, or can you quantify it by a number?
You can quantify it, yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, so let's say let's say there's like a sale job. Your whole job is to go around like house to house and like just sell something like cookies. I don't know.
Mhm.
If you end up making
Let's do encyclopedias. I
if
like
you end up
encyclopedias more.
making the company $100 that day, but then they
Uh-huh.
only pay you $80 back, then you would
Okay.
say that they are exploiting $20 out of you.
You don't know that.
You
What is?
So
Let's
you
say
put in
let's say it was
one
that
hundred
they.
dollars worth of labor, but you only
Yeah,
got
yeah. But one
$80
second.
out.
1 second. Let me explain why I said you don't know that. Because you don't know their costs. You
What do
don't
you
know how
mean?
it
I
was
don't know
to.
their cost.
Well, if you're selling encyclopedias or even cookies, I like encyclopedias, so I'll stick with it. It took time to print them. It took time for someone to write them. It took time for someone to put the hardback on it and put it in a box and send it to you. These are all costs, and you're saying that these costs are not part of the calculation of exploitation, but they obviously have to be
No, I,
paid.
I
It's not
just
like
did. No, I did. Yeah,
you did.
I'm
Sorry, go
saying
ahead.
if yeah. So I said if you made the company $100, so the gross profit was $100, but then your company only pays you $80 back. You would say that the company is getting extra value out of your labor. You are not getting the full value of your labor, so
Okay,
you're being
so
exploited.
if the company would pay you 100% of the value of what you sold, what would happen?
They wouldn't be able to function.
So basically, what you're saying is, I'll summarize. Consumers can or do exploit the companies. The companies definitely exploit the employees, and the employees sometimes can exploit the the employers. But if the exploit, but if they won't exploit, if they will, no one will exploit anyone. The employers won't hire the employees, and the consumers will probably not buy from the consumers, and no one will trade anything, and nothing will function.
Yeah,
So
I'm not
what is the point? What is the point of saying? What are we even bringing up? Because it seems like it's either deeply unfair or nothing happens.
Well, that is what capitalism is. At the end of the day, you need to have people being exploited. I'm not advocating for a system where people do not have to go through this. I'm just pointing out that this is absolutely exploitation. But
Well,
if you
okay, so
want
let me.
capitalism, then you need to accept that exploitation does happen.
Well, you need to accept something else. The employers don't see it that way. The employees don't see it the same way you do. They are happy to go to work rather than staying at home. They're happy to be productive and they're happy to produce value to society, and
Yeah,
they
so
will choose the best option for them to give them the highest salary, or they'll take a risk and open their own company and try to sell to consumers.
yeah,
And
yeah.
if
So
they're
someone,
employees, they will try to work on their skill set and become more valuable and more scarce and increase their salary. And at some point, even the boss will reluctantly pay them a salary because they're so scarce and valuable. So at that point, they could be exploiting the employer, according to you.
so
But the
at
employees
the end,
don't see it that way, and that's why they don't. That's why you haven't seen the revolution you are implying.
yeah. So at the end of the day, even if people choose to be exploited, they're still being exploited.
Well, they don't see it that way, and I don't see it that way either. So this is a subjective point of
It
view.
doesn't matter if you see it that way or not.
But it's you're assigning a subjective characteristic to something based on a faulty math formula that doesn't exist in
How is
reality.
it subjective?
Someone is exploitive is a subjective claim.
Saying someone has been exploited is not a subjective claim.
Of course
No.
it is. Have they been physically hurt?
How?
How do you, how? Because you're looking at two people interacting and happily exchanging either goods and service or one, and you're saying
Just
they're
because it's
exploiting one
just
another.
as I said before, just because
What
they chose.
signs? What signs of
Or
exploitation?
can you let me make a point before you interrupt?
Sorry, go ahead.
So just because someone chooses to be exploited doesn't change the fact that it's exploitation.
But
So it doesn't matter if they're
just the
happy.
fact that you say it's exploitation doesn't mean it is exploitation either.
Well, we just proved that.
No, you didn't.
Well,
You're
I
you're
saying
saying
you moved the
you're
topic, so
assign you,
I figured
you're saying a
you
win-win
agreed.
exchange is exploitative, and I'm saying it isn't.
Wait, so you just agreed with me that it is exploitation, and then in my system, some
No.
customers could exploit the company, some companies can exploit workers. You literally agreed with me.
I did not
What are you
agree to
talking
that.
about?
No. Let me explain. I never agreed to that. I was playing along, trying to get you to understand. I repeatedly said that I don't agree with it as I was giving the examples. So just the fact that you okay. So if let me explain what I think it's not exploitation. Let's say if you want to trade your old car, right? And I don't know. You work out an agreement with someone. You work out on a price. They're happy to pay for the car. You're happy to sell the car at that price. They're happy to buy the car from that price. Yeah. If both
Yeah,
people, if it's a voluntary win-win exchange, that by definition means it's not exploitative.
one of them is putting in more labor
Yeah,
or
but still,
money than the value
that's
that
a
they're getting out.
subjective. Okay, I
It's
understand.
it can be subjective, yeah.
It's a subjective claim because two people. So let me put it this way:
The value that you get out of something can be subjective, yes.
any value you get out of something is subjective to you. There's a subjective theory of value here.
Yeah, I don't agree that value can be subjective.
Well, I don't agree with the label theory of value. It's been debunked several times.
Wait, I'm using the same definition of value that you're using.
I don't agree with the label theory of value from Marx because in this example that I gave you with two people happily exchanging something, you as a third
I
person are
haven't even
sitting
read
far
Marx.
away.
Why you bring this up?
Okay. You as a third, two people are exchanging something. They're happy to do it. They both see a value in this exchange. And you as a third person sitting far away saying, hold on a second, one of you is being exploited.
It doesn't really matter if they're being exploited.
Sorry?
It doesn't really matter if they're being exploited.
I'm just, sorry. I thought it does. It's the point of, what do you mean? It's the point of the conversation.
Well, no, or not really.
So if two people,
The point of the conversation is that all workers are exploited. Whether or not that exploitation is like necessary or not necessary isn't a part of the question. All I'm pointing out is yes, there is exploitation. That exploitation has
so
to happen because it's capitalism.
right. So I think the problem here is that you're working in reverse. Like you're saying capitalism is evil.
I didn't
Why?
say
Because
that.
people. I'm assuming
Don't
how your
gaslight
thought
me.
process. One
That's not
second.
my thought process. Do not gaslight me.
Let me finish.
I
So
like
before you.
capitalism.
Sorry.
I like capitalism.
Great. You like it, but you certainly don't like certain elements of it or something. Because if two people are happy to exchange,
No, I just agree. There's some problems with capitalism, like the fact that in every single like a transaction, there is one party who is getting less value out of it, which you would say is exploitation.
but if they were to get the full value, the transaction would not happen, right?
Yeah,
But they want the transaction to happen.
yeah. So they
Both
make
parties
do
want the
having
transaction to happen.
yes. So they make so one of the party makes do with putting in more labor than the value that they get out.
Well, if you're selling the car, then let's say you wanted a higher price, yeah, than the person was offering it, but you had to go down a bit. They wanted an even lower price, but they were happy to go down to that, to let's say a middle. Let's say it's like a compromise between your price and what they had in their head. So both of you sold the car and he bought the car for the same difference. Like he wanted it for like he paid $100 more than he wanted to, and you lowered your price by $100 more than you wanted to, and the transaction happened, and both of you got what you wanted. Is there still exploitation?
No, I guess not.
So it so that so
But
that
yeah,
is where we
that
are.
would be a good example of a transaction which wouldn't be exploitative.
This is new ground for me. Don't know where to go from here. I'm so surprised.
I don't know what you're surprised about.
So if there's like a certain stage of equilibrium, right? Well, let's say the company, the employer takes a certain amount of risk or a certain amount of cost, and the employee, like they wanted a salary, but they were happy to go with like a lower salary, and they got above their expectations and they accepted it. If there's some kind of equilibrium where both the employer and the employee uh, put up some sort of like, I don't know if the word is risk, or like they both compromised in the same way that we did the car example, then there wouldn't be exploitation.
No, because any business would have to get more value out of the labor that
In mind,
they're
business
getting.
does have cost.
Okay, so if you're hiring someone
Yeah.
and the value that you get from them is less than the value you're giving them, then you're losing money.
Right, right. So I'm
No
saying,
business would do this.
but in the example of the car, right? Like
Yes.
you like
Yeah, so there could be some examples of businesses purposely paying someone and like losing money. Like that could happen.
no,
But
I'm not. No one's
in
losing money.
99% of cases, this business would be like losing money if they did
No,
this,
no.
so they wouldn't do it.
I don't. I really don't mean losing money. I meant in the example of the car, where you wanted to sell the car. Okay, you wanted to sell the car for 2,000, and he brought you down to 1,900. He wanted to buy the car for 1,800, but he went up to 1,900. And the difference is the same between both of you. So the compromise is 100 on both sides. You said that is not exploitative. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering if theoretically, if we have a similar
You
situation
wouldn't be
between
able to
employee
do
and
the
employee,
same with a business, no.
why not?
Because no business could realistically do this. They would lose money.
No, they're not losing. You gained. You want to sell the car for 2,000, sorry, and you still gained the transaction of 1,900, right? Like the car right now to you is not worth much because you want to sell it and do something with the money, and you
Yeah,
were able
I've
to
already
get
agreed that
1,900.
I already agreed that there are some transactions which wouldn't be exploitative, but in a business,
And those
this would
apply to
never happen.
businesses.
No, this would never happen in a business.
Can you explain to me why?
Because a business, the whole point of a business is to make money. If you are hiring someone and you aren't making money from them, there is no point in that.
You made money on
No
selling the car.
business would do it.
You made money on selling the car.
I don't know why you keep bringing up the car thing.
Because that's the point.
I already said there are some
Yeah.
transactions which wouldn't be exploitative.
And
But
you're
in a
why?
business, this would not happen.
Right, but I'm saying making in this transaction of the car example where we agree it's not exploitative, you made money, the other person bought the car at, at a price that they were okay to pay with, and everyone and two people walk away with something that they wanted and they were happy about it. Now you're saying you did make money, you sold the car for $1,900, you now have in your pocket $1,900. So why are you saying that is exploitative here? Because if a
I
company
already
sells
said.
something, yeah.
You keep bringing this up. I already said there are some transactions that aren't exploitative, but this wouldn't happen in a business.
So that's the part I don't understand. Why? Because just simply because they're
Because
making
a
money.
business needs to make money. If they are hiring someone and they aren't making money for it, then they wouldn't hire the person.
Yeah, I
That is
understood
what
that.
happens in capitalism.
I understood your point, but I'm just referencing the point that you agreed and said you made money here too in selling the car.
Yes,
You
I
made
already
money.
said there are some transactions.
You don't see the
aren't
connection between what I'm
exploitative.
saying here?
No, one is a transaction that wouldn't be exploitative. One would never happen in a business because a business needs to make money, and if they aren't making money out of that exchange, then they wouldn't do it.
But okay, so you're saying a business makes money, and I'm saying a trade makes money. Both make money, but one for some reason is non-exploitative and one is.
So a business, the
Yeah.
whole point of a business is to make money.
No,
Whereas if you're
so
selling
that's
a
not,
car,
no, wait. So what do you mean that the whole point of a business is to make money?
that's what businesses are.
So you're saying the
The whole
business
point
need
of
to
a
make money to
business is to.
survive, but
Oh no. The
businesses
whole
need
point
to
of
make
a
money to
business.
survive.
The whole point of a business is to just make money. That is all
Well,
it is.
I disagree with that statement.
I mean
I
that's
think
what
making money
capitalism
is
is.
I disagree with that as well. I think making money is an important part of the business. Yeah, but I
What
don't
else
think
is there?
that's the main goal here.
What else is there?
Well, then otherwise, if the only reason was to make money, then everyone will be working in finance or something. People want to do other things.
No, because there's multiple ways to make money. So can you give me an example of something that a business is designed to do other than making money?
Sure. A non-profit under capitalism.
A non-profit business.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example of a non-profit business?
A charity.
That's not a business. It's a charity.
Well, it's a non-profit. A non-profit is under capitalism, right? They just have to come close to.
So a non-profit business does not exist. You're talking
Okay.
about a charity. That is a completely separate thing.
Okay.
Charities do
What
not
is
have
Wikipedia?
transactions, the same
Okay.
transactions that we're talking about.
What is Wikipedia?
Wikipedia is a website.
Under capitalism, right?
What do you mean under capitalism?
It is. It evolved from a capitalist economy, correct?
I have no idea.
So Wikipedia
Probably.
functions within the umbrella of capitalism. Yes, we can. Can we continue with this point, or do you disagree?
No, not really. It's not a business. It wasn't made to make money.
It was, well, so this is kind of my point. It makes enough money to function, right?
No, that's why they were asking for donations.
Right. They're asking donation. They're a non-profit, but they're providing a lot of value to people.
Yeah, they
right?
aren't a business.
You mean businesses have profits, but they're not a company, you're saying?
So yeah, Wikipedia is not a business. It's not a company.
It is a company, but go on.
It's not a company.
It's an organization. What would you like to call it?
An organization. There we go.
Okay, so organizations can function under capitalism, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so let's give another example. Teachers, yeah, they don't make a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Why do people go into teaching?
Because they like teaching.
Oh, really? So that's, but they're not. But the main goal isn't to make a profit, is it?
No, it's
So the thing is that
teach.
you don't. The thing is what I'm trying to imply here, by roundabout way of giving examples,
Yeah, so teachers
is
aren't
that,
business.
well, still, if the goal of society is to
No,
make
it's
money,
not still. Teachers are not businesses. My whole point was that businesses are made to make money. It doesn't matter what teachers are made to do. So
no,
can you give
businesses.
me
Okay,
an example of something that a business does other than making money?
so what I'm trying to say is that people choose certain businesses. Well, the main goal, making money is an important part of it, so they can keep functioning. But the main goal of the business isn't to make money per se. It's because the person who started the business wants the freedom to do something that they like to do. So, for example, I can
I
open
don't care. I don't care how it was started. I want to know what is the purpose of a business
so
other
the
than
purpose of
making
the
money.
business is to provide value to people in the market, similar to
Why?
Wikipedia.
Why?
Sorry,
Why? Why is it?
because
Why did it give value to people?
people like to do that. They trade with other people in the
No, they
market.
do that because it gets some money.
I said profit is an important part of it, but if money
No,
was
profit is the only part of it.
just let me finish the sentence. If money was the only part of the main purpose and people would maximize how much money they made and they wouldn't choose things that they like to do and they enjoy doing or they gave them a certain freedom, they would just go for like the most amount of money possible, which may mean in this case working in a bank, working in a hedge fund, working in the finance sector,
So that is
because
not
that makes a
true.
lot more money than other sectors in the economy.
So that is not true because not every single company, not every single business can
Yeah.
be a finance business. So we need other types of businesses, and every single one of these businesses' main goal is to make money. That's it.
So,
There is no
so
other
again,
goal.
you didn't understand what I was saying, but what I'm trying to explain to you, and I guess I
I understand what you're saying, but you keep
no,
dodging the question. You
let
won't
me
give me an
just
example.
let
You
me
won't give
just
me an example of something a business
finish.
does other than
Look,
making money
you're not making any new points. You're just repeating yourself here. So
because you
just let
keep
me make
dodging the
some new
question.
points. Let me make some new points, and let me explain some things to you.
You
Or at
can
the
answer
very
the question.
least, let me make some points to the audience listening here. If you're not interested in listening,
I just want
right?
you to
So,
answer the question.
what
Keep
was the
dodging the
question?
question.
Because I look, I don't want to answer the question till I finish my point. Then ask me the
Can you
question,
give
okay?
me
Can you
so
wait till I finish my point? Then ask me a question,
after
please.
you dodged the question for 5 minutes?
I
I don't
don't
know.
know because you were talking while I was talking. Just let me finish my point, then ask the question. I'll
Sure,
answer it later. Okay?
sure.
So the idea of profit in capitalism, it's not the main goal, it's a virtue of capitalism. And what does that mean? It means that I'll just say like I'll quote because it means that each man is an end to himself, working for his own welfare. Whereas not having the profit motive, you will be an unpaid sacrificer working for the sake of others. So that the profit itself is a virtue of capital. It means you get to keep what you own.
Yes. Okay. So yes, that is a good virtue of capitalism. So could I ask, what is
Yes.
there about a business other than making money?
Well, it's stuff you like doing. It's challenges for you. Like for if I were to start a business, yeah, it's stuff I enjoy doing
I
other
don't
than
care
other
how it
stuff.
started.
And
I want to know what a business does other than making money.
a business provides a service to other people in the market,
To
provides
make
value to other
money.
people in the market, and in exchange it gets money. But the
Yeah.
value is
So the whole point of a business is to make
no,
money.
no,
Yes.
no, 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 no. The whole point is the value. That was the point. I just said it specifically. The point is to give value to other people in the market.
To make
That
money.
is the
Yes.
point of the business. The assumption
To make
is
money. Yeah.
no, that's not. It could be. Look, it's as if saying, it's as
Yeah.
if
It's
saying,
both. It gives value
it's
to
as if
others, and
saying,
it makes
it's
you
as if
money.
saying.
That is what a business does.
Listen, it's as if saying, making money is like breathing to a business. You have to make money, otherwise the business won't exist. But do you breathe? Do you live just to breathe?
A business does. Yeah.
Well, no, you don't. But anyway, I'm not. I'll think I'll. I think you won't get it or won't try to get it, but at least maybe the audience will. I'll
I mean, you're
let's
just
take
dodging the
questions.
question.
Let's take questions from the
It's
audience.
funny that you want to take questions when you don't want to answer them, but sure.
I answered your question. Which okay, ask me the
You
question I
didn't.
didn't answer.
Can you give me an example of something a business does other than generating money?
activities a business do?
Those are
So,
all
for example, if
created.
someone,
Those are all
okay, so
created to
let's
make
take a
money.
restaurant. Sure, let's take a restaurant. Yeah. So a restaurant, someone really likes to cook, and a cook opened his own restaurant, and he's really excited about making very delicious food that people like and enjoy. That's his meaning of life. And if he's successful of it, people will reward him with money, and he can like measure how well he's doing. But what he's doing is providing really tasty meals to people who enjoy his tasty meals. That is the activity of the business. Yes.
And he does that for money. Yeah.
He doesn't do it. So you don't. Do you not understand that he doesn't do
His
it
business
for,
does.
for money specifically? He does it because he enjoys doing it.
He doesn't. The business does.
Yes, the business is a collection of is a nebulous of people with contracts between them. It's not like an entity in and of itself.
Yeah. So why are you talking about
and the
the
people
worker?
that and he
Can you stop talking
decided
about the
to
worker? Talk about the business, not the worker.
say again.
Stop talking about the worker. Talk about the business. I don't care what the worker is doing and what the worker wants.
So the
I care about
definition
what
of
the
a
business is
business,
doing.
the
And the business
definition of
wants profit, nothing else.
the definition of a business is a collection of people, is a nebulous of people with contracts between each other. It's not an entity or a thing in and of itself, even if for some tax reasons it exists in that way. But a business is a collection of people.
And that collection of people, the only purpose they have is to make money.
I disagree. So thank you. Let's take some questions from the debate
Could I
chat.
quickly ask one more time? Can you give me an
Sure.
example of something a business does other than making money?
Third time lucky,
still have not
or do you think third time lucky, or do you think you'll try to appreciate what I say?
I mean, you won't answer it. Liquid
just asked the question directly.
Yeah,
So I answered it. I answered it twice. I don't know what else to add.
You never
Sorry.
answered it. Alright, let's go to questions.
Okay.